first speaker is Kay Walker, and Kay Walker is a retired worker at the City and County of San Francisco, and she's been personally aware of this issue of bullying in the workplace. Welcome, Kay Walker.
Thank you. I was also a shop steward and a chief shop steward for the Department of Social Services, so I heard a lot. I also experienced workplace bullying because of my union activities, and also for some reason, because I was an excellent worker, and I got told that by an assistant manager, that some of the managers didn't like me because I was thought to be a better equipped to do the job than they were. Not that I ever wanted a management job. However, this goes on all the time. Whatever produces bullying, you can hardly figure it out at times, but it takes many forms. Sometimes it's a gossip campaign against a new worker that comes into the unit, and they come in and nobody talks to them. They won't be allowed to have their work processed. Sometimes it's actually physical. People have been hit. They've been pushed on the stairs. They've been spit at, and I personally was spit at, and I was also socked. And sometimes it's yelling and screaming inappropriately. People just blow up. People get sick. There have been people out on stress leaves over and over, and I understand that the city and county has a lot of lawsuits. I think they settled for this year, 21, or the year after, $21 million in lawsuits in terms of bullying claims that were won. But what's really unfortunate is a lot of really decent people and excellent workers leave their jobs early, retire to get away from this toxic environment. It's all over the city. So I'd like someone else to speak. Thanks.
Now, one of the things that we have experienced, unfortunately, is public employees who are conscientious and want to do their jobs. Unfortunately, when they see problems on the job, when they see malfeasance, financial mismanagement, and they report those incidents, instead of that being taken care of and these problems in public service being made accountable, these employees, these conscientious employees themselves are targeted. And one of them is Dr. Derek Kerr, who is a doctor at the Laguna Honda Hospital, and he and Dr. Maria Rivero saw that there was malfeasance, and instead of dealing with it, the hospital management targeted them and harassed and bullied them. So welcome to Dr. Kerr.
Thank you. So workplace bullying is a problem in San Francisco, and also retaliation against whistleblowers. And we are asking the Department of Human Resources to conduct a survey of the workforce to determine exactly how much bullying goes on. And once that's done, then they can develop strategies to deal with it. But to date, Human Resources hasn't even looked at the problem. So this is something that we think that needs to be done so we can have a scientific basis for human resources interventions.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So we're saying that this proclamation is the first step. There has to be an ongoing education campaign. There has to be a survey of people that have been bullied in the city and county of San Francisco and the public. This is costing the public millions of dollars. The city of San Francisco has spent over $10 million on lawsuits because of the fact that people have been bullied illegally, been removed from their jobs, simply for trying to do their jobs. And we think that that has to end, that we have to have accountability, and that this is a serious health and safety problem. Our next speaker is Brenda Barrows. Brenda is the co-chair of SEIU 1021 COPE, and from San Francisco General Hospital. Welcome, Brenda Barrows.
Hi, Brenda. I'm the chapter president of SEIU 1021 out at San Francisco General. And the reason that I got involved in this is one of the things that I've been talking about for years. Most of the grievances that employees have are related to some sort of bullying. And it can be employee to employee. It can be manager to employee. And I think to limit it only to managers is a mistake, because in many cases, the people that I see bullying people are not managers, they're other employees. I've seen cases where managers are bullied by their workers, where they gang up together and then they go after people. That's not right either. So what we're saying is that it is not right no matter who's doing it. If it's a line employee doing it, it's wrong. If it's a manager doing it, it's wrong. If it's the mayor doing it, it's still wrong. No matter who's doing it, it's wrong. At least at San Francisco Dental, they've started the process of something they call like a healthy workplace. It's something they're starting, where they're starting to touch on it. But it has to go much deeper. There are people that have been traumatized for years that are working on their job, people that used to be very productive people that are no longer productive because, you know, they feel squashed down. You know, it happens to people all the time. In my 30 years as a city employee, I've gone through it several times. But, you know, you have to be strong enough to keep going. But everybody's not strong. Some people are not strong, and they know who's not strong, and they really go after those people because they know that then there's not going to be any consequence to it. So I don't think that any of this in the city setting with employees should be punitive. But I certainly do believe that the city needs to take it serious and work with the employees to come up with something so that the employees are happier, they get more productive workers, and that the environment for workers in San Francisco is improved. Not for this generation, because let's be honest, a lot of the bullies, you know, a lot of bullying kids that they talk about all the time have bullying parents. That's where they learned it. So it's not going to be something we can solve overnight, but it's definitely something that needs to be taken seriously, and we need to work on hopefully at someday having an environment where people do not get bullied at work, at school, on the streets, at a dance, anywhere. It should not be tolerated in the United States of America.
That's right.
My name is Bayard Fong. I'm with COG, the Coalition of Asian American Government Employees, and we have joined this effort because we also believe that city workers, when they're doing good work, do not deserve to be bullied. And if we're actually being bullied, it is so unfair to that individual when they go home and face their family and their head is down. They're trying to share dinner with their kids. And if they've not been treated fair at the job, it's not fair that the job should be where everyone can hold their head up high, be proud to tell their children and their family what they're doing today. And if things are not fair, that's why we are standing up. It's time to stand up now. It's time for all of us who've been afraid to stand up to join this positive energy, and let's stand up together. This week is Anti-Bullying Healthy Workplace Environment Week, and thank you to Supervisor Campos, who sponsored this proclamation, and we are going to move forward to establish an ordinance, a city ordinance, so that city workers, 26,000 city workers, should all have the right that we don't be bullied in the workplace. And that will need the help of everyone here working together so that all of us can go home to our families and kids and always hold our head up high that we're doing good work for the city. And if for some reason we find something that somebody's not doing right and it's illegal or it's spending too much city money and that they report it, that they're not squashed. So anyway, it's my pleasure to join this group. Healthy workplace environment, stop the bullying. Thank you.
I think we have some support here from the jurists, because this isn't just a local issue, this is a national issue, an international issue. We'll stop workplace bullying. So our next speaker is Sylvia Alvarez-Lynch, and Sylvia is a longtime activist for human rights among all working people. So welcome, Sylvia.
It's a pleasure to have Dr. Kerr and Dr. Rivera here, who actually were bullied and subject to just really harassment simply because they were trying to do the right thing for their patients at Laguna Honda. And that meant that they had a whistle blow that some money was being diverted from the patient care into somebody's pocket, like staff having lunches, exclusive travel arrangements, so on. I think the chickens are going to come home to roost with the present bullying that's taken place when employees speak up about permanent and exempt employment. Our pension system, our healthcare system can no longer take favoritism and nepotism in the workplace where people, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Recently at General Hospital, we had a death. People walked over this body. People knew this body was in the stairwell, but nobody did the right thing. If they were real civil servants with real training procedures, we would have a different outcome. But unfortunately, it's who you know, not what you know. So you really don't have to earn your paycheck. It's who you know that'll keep you there. And if you report this, you are ousted, you are shunned, you are bullied, you are given the worst treatment. But you know, it's taxpayer money that's being wasted, and people should know that. Taxpayer money that has to pick up where sick employees have to call in sick, they can't take the pressure anymore, the stress claims, the workers' comp claims, but nobody takes this into consideration. Fortunately, Supervisor Campos knows the plight that we're in, and he supported us by putting forth a proclamation. Hopefully other supervisors will follow his lead and go for a resolution. But he knows that the cost, the true cost of having good workers who want to do the right thing as their public servants for the people they serve in San Francisco. So that's all we want to do, is have a healthy workplace environment where people are done right. People who deserve service can be given the service that we get paid for without any type of intimidation or ramifications of harassment and stress. A lot of us have been bullied in different ways. We have Mercedes here, who actually had gotten very sick under the stress simply because she was following the civil service rules and regulations. And because of that, she was ostracized. She was told not to do the right thing according to the rules by her supervisors. She became deathly ill. She had to leave. She couldn't take it anymore. Her body reacted, and that's what happens. Now she's living with the consequences long-term, physically, from that. It's not just Mercedes. There's many Mercedes out there who are working for the city, who are trying to do the right thing for the taxpayer and the residents and the visitors of our great city. And thank you for Supervisor Campos for doing the right thing and having the courage to have a proclamation that will open the door for a resolution and hopefully a state bill against bullying. Little kids suffer this at school. Well, it doesn't only happen at school for the little kids, it happens for adults in the workplace. People do get bullied. Thank you.
Grupo Presente, thank you for coming to the press conference. We're here because we really want to talk about bullying. It doesn't happen only in the schools, it happens here at City Hall. Believe me. Somebody said agreeing. Yes, it does happen here in City Hall. And our employees are very much involved. If you know that we get phone calls off the hook from a lot of employees that are saying that they're being bullied. They're not here today because we really want to talk about bullying. It doesn't happen only in the schools, it happens here at City Hall. Believe me. Somebody said agreeing. Yes, it does happen here in City Hall. And our employees are very much involved. If you know that we get phone calls off the hook from a lot of employees that are saying that they're being bullied. They're not here today because they're afraid of retaliation. That's what's bullying about. That's what happens to individuals who open up and try to stand up for the right thing. I have a proclamation here. I'm going to read it. It's signed by Supervisor David Campos. But before I even start that, there was a resolution that was signed back in 2007 by Supervisor Gerardo Sandoval, which to this day has not been enforced. It's been adopted by the full board to stop the bullying in the workplace, yet nothing, not from DHR, not from the mayor's office, not from anywhere, is there anything in the policy that says they have to stop. That's why a lot of us have this is what the proclamation says. It's a proclamation of the County of San Francisco. Whereas the City and County of San Francisco has an interest in promoting the social and economic well-being of its citizens, employees, and employers, and whereas the city's economic well-being depends upon healthy and productive employees working in a safe and abuse-free work environment, and whereas workplace bullying is defined as repeated, malicious, health-harming mistreatment that interferes with our disability. Or be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of the City and County of San Francisco proclaim October 20th to the 26th, 2013 as Freedom from Workplace Bullying, and be further resolved that the Board of Supervisors encourages city departments to mark this week with special activities and programs to address adult bullying at work. Supervisor Campos, signed it, David Campos, at October 8, 2013.
Thank you.
I just have one thing to say, and that is if we could get in all contracts anti-bullying language, strong anti-bullying language, this would help a great deal. And also that the supervisors should be held accountable for whatever is happening in their units, so to speak, in terms of worker on worker. Thanks.
Thank you. Now, we're here today, and there's some people who can't be here because they have health problems. Many, many workers in the City and County of San Francisco have been bullied out of their jobs, harassed, and have gone on workers' comp, and some have become permanently disabled as a result of bullying on the job. This is a deadly problem. In fact, in the workplace, depression and bullying is causing more and more health problems. So this is a health issue for our society, and we have an incident, for example, at Martin Luther King Middle School here in San Francisco, where the principal bullied the students and the staff. 17 staff were bullied out, staff and teachers. And the principal sat on a student, physically abused the student, and she's now being investigated by the Commission on Teacher Credentials. We have brought that up. We have brought that up to the Board of Education. We brought that up to the superintendent. We brought that up to the district attorney. No action. We think this is unconscionable, especially for young people, that they're in an environment where bullying is acceptable. And this affects them their entire lives. When a young person is bullied in the schools, they're affected their entire life. Their life is destroyed. In fact, just this morning, I was called by a woman in Riverside whose son was being bullied at a Riverside High School. He's an athlete. There were racist comments made about him. He was harassed and bullied. And she said, what can I do? I told the coach, I told the school board, nothing, nobody's doing anything. So this is something that has to change. This is why this National Workplace Free Bully event is very important, because we're making this a national issue. We're saying it's a public issue, it's a national issue, and that we are going to stop it. Now, the Stop Workplace Bullying group and Grupo Presente and others have been doing education. We actually had a demonstration at General Hospital to protest the bullying at that hospital. And to say it's not just about that individual, it's not just about that bully, it's about all of us, the protection of our human rights on the job. People have the right to have human rights and not be bullied. And this is an epidemic. The City and County of San Francisco has spent millions of dollars paying for illegal discharges and discrimination against workers who are conscientious city employees who protest the misuse of public funds, who protest illegal contracts in San Francisco. Thank you, brothers and sisters. I want to also say that this bullying of teachers, there's a national epidemic of bullying against teachers in this country, blaming teachers for the crisis in education. Well, they don't want to talk about the poverty. They don't want to talk about the fact that kids, their parents have to work on 2 jobs. You know, that it's very difficult for young people. They blame the teachers. And at the same time, there's bullying of public employees. The transit workers, the bar workers are being bullied. They actually are telling the bar workers they have to take a wage cut to pay for new cars. They're bullied, and the strike coordinator, George Figueroa, was actually bullied off the job, framed up, and arrested. So this bullying of public workers is an epidemic, and the proclamation today is just a start. It's an important start, but we are going to continue the education. We're going to continue the effort to make sure that in law there's protection for workers who speak out. No worker, no public worker especially, should be removed from office for trying to do the right thing, for being conscientious and trying to do his job. We want to do our jobs. We want to protect the public. We want to be efficient. We want to help our country and our society and our city. We're not interested in destroying things, and we have a right to speak out, because it does a disservice to the public when public employees who speak out about issues on the job are discriminated against. You're not helping society, you're not helping the city, and you're not helping the people who need services in San Francisco. You're hurting them. So, are there any other people who would like to address the issue? You want to say something? No? You want to say something, Frank? Frank?
A city worker, and I'm bully victim. I can tell you that bullying has a big impact on one's health, mental and physical health, and also it affects really on their family. Every day you live, okay, you come to work and you don't know when. And when you're going to be bullied, you're going to be harassed. And it's good that Budweiser have support the proclamation against the bully. So this week is Free Bully Week, and I hope that it can be turned into war. It can turn into a law, so that we can be more protective. City worker can come to work every day without being afraid that they're going to be bullied again. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. And we're here today.
On January 24, 2007, a resolution was adopted by the Board of Supervisors for San Francisco, and the resolution reads as such: resolution requesting that the Department of Human Resources recognize the detrimental impact of mobbing, aka workplace bullying, on creating a safe and productive workplace for all employees was adopted. Mobbing and workplace bullying, a common form of workplace harassment, when a group of employees psychologically harasses and bullies another colleague, directly impacts not only the emotional well-being of those targeted, but also the productivity of the entire workforce. And whereas over the past 2 decades, social scientists have documented that workplace phenomenon and its effects on both employees and employers, and whereas this psychological harassment can be manifested in form of verbal comments, constant criticism, isolation, and withholding of information, among many other harassing behaviors. And whereas often targets employees whose excellent job performance distinguishes them from colleagues, and workplace harassment has a tangible effect on the emotional well-being, job performance, physical health of those targeted. And though every incident of mobbing or bullying differs, they often follow a predictable pattern that begins with increased intimidation, isolation, and climaxes with the claim by a group of colleagues that the victim has committed an offense that requires immediate adjudication. And whereas, regardless of the outcome of any investigation into the alleged offenses, targets of mobbing or bullying often voluntarily resign due to increase in work-related anxiety, and whereas an estimated 2 to 5% of the employees will become victims of bullying at some point during their careers. And whereas it has been demonstrated that those people have been targeted by this form of emotional abuse commit suicide at a higher rate. And whereas the increased rates of absenteeism, decreased productivity, along with the added health care, legal costs that result from the workplace harassment represent the true cost of the harassing techniques to employers. And all forms of workplace harassment are against employment policies of the City and County of San Francisco. Now, there be it that the Board of Supervisors, City and County of San Francisco, condemns the abusive workplace behavior, and that the Board of Supervisors, City and County, requested the Department of Human Resources to report back to the Board of Supervisors, if at all, including mobbing and all forms of citing their policies covering workforce harassment. This was actually adopted in 2007, and it is now 2013, and we are still waiting for DHR to get off their ass and do something.
I was enforced of Laguna Honda by a dysfunctional management, and I'm here to say that there are clear studies showing that workplace harassment causes PTSD, causes severe psychological harm to employees, that results in increased unemployment, increased workers' city, and this is wrong. DHR has had 6 years to do something about it. Wake up and smell the coffee. Stop workplace.
Stand up for our rights, job, and if you can't do your job, get out of your job. That's what we're saying. If you're not going to do job with the public, protect the employees, then you don't belong in that position. You have a responsibility to be accountable. They're fired all the time. They're fired and they're harassed and they're bullied. It seems like the top officials, the top managers aren't the same, they don't have the same level of accountability. And when they violate the rules and the laws, it's like there's no action taken to make sure that they follow the rules. We're saying that the time is to end that double standard, equal rights for all. We're going to have a human workplace, and we are beginning this education campaign. We're going to continue it, and we want to thank all the organizations and the groups that have come forward to support this day. This is just the beginning, and we're going to stand in solidarity. We're going to back each other up and back up our human rights. Let's fight for human health, fight to end bullying on the job. Thank you very much. Stop. Why should they have additional stresses on the job? Why should people be terrified to go to their work for fear of being bullied? And that's a general situation that happens. People are afraid to go on their job for fear of being bullied on the job. And this is a terrible situation where people are afraid to go to work for fear of being bullied. And this is something that we have to stop. And also we have another, Lois Scott here is the past president of IFPT Local 21, and she has some experiences too. So welcome, Lois Scott.
I think the work that this committee is doing is very, very important to the city. I think it's reflected, in fact, in the BART strike that's going on right now, that one of the issues in that BART strike is the work rules, and one of the work rules that is most onerous is allowing management to punish people by arbitrary moving around of job assignments, and that is a form of bullying. So many times we ignore, or the public does not know, the kinds of things that happen to people who speak out, and these kinds of arbitrary treatments, punishments, changes in working conditions happen to some of the union leaders and happen to some of the best workers who have the most integrity and honesty. So I hope that this work and the proclamation and the continuing struggle succeed.